Growing up, one of the things that I really didn't speak too much about in my household was money. Like it was kind of a taboo subject, and I don't know why, because it's one of the things that we as society feel is one of the most important things, and yet certainly in my household, I don't know if you're the same. It just wasn't spoken about. Like my dad used to go red in the face a little bit, and there was like a whole bunch of taboo around the topic, and I feel like I'd really love to change that in my family at least, and maybe in yours, and just to learn more about it because if this is one of the most important things in our life, then we need to learn about this. And thankfully, my world has been changed entirely when it comes to finance when I met the lovely Anne Wilson, who I would love to introduce to you here today. She is known worldwide as the Wealth Chef. She has trained thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, hundreds, I don't even know. But she is a genius when it comes to finances, to managing your personal wealth, and just to building wealth, even if it's getting yourself out of the trenches. But without me giving too much of a background and maybe not doing it correctly. And I'd love you to introduce yourself. Say hello to the Intaka community and let's talk a little bit about money.
Money, 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 wealth, freedom. Talk about these topics that we're not meant to talk about. And that is why it is such a delight to be here. Such a delight to be here with you, Warwick, the Insaf community. It's such a great tribe. I know I attract amazing people into my life, like you, Warwick, and I know you do too. And we have tribes, we have people that really want to live their lives fully, that want to be able to embrace it, want to be present with life, who really get that we have this one precious, amazing life. And how do we ensure that we are available for it? And there are really just three core things that we're given, gifts we're given to live this life. One is the time we have. And it's not renewable. It's limited, and we don't have time to F around. We got to be living. The devastation is some people think there's still time. The other is our energy, our life force, the very thing that we choose to put our attention to. And the third is our relationship with money. It is a resource. Money is a representation of value that us and our community have an agreement on, that it's a mechanism for exchange of value. And it enables us to bring in the elements of the other resources that time and our energy needs to create what we want. But devastatingly, as you say, there's shame around it, ignorance around it. We think we should know about it or we shouldn't talk about it. That makes us greedy. And there's so much attached emotion that comes around it. But we also fed this whole story that money also defines our worthiness, our status, whether we're good, bad, all of these things. And so to be here is amazing. And yes, I didn't do what you asked me to do, which was introduce myself. So I am Anne Wilson, aka the Wealth Chef. And like most people, I grew up in a family of number 5 or 6 kids. Yeah, shit. We were taught, go and study hard, work hard, that hard work ethic, that life was a bit of a struggle. You certainly never spoke about money. When you said you wanted something, you were made to feel a bit guilty. I guess when you're the fifth mouth to feed out of six, it was this relationship with money that you needed it, but you didn't want to admit that. It was almost a slavery type thing, but to be above it, almost to be spiritual, whatever it was, you didn't go with it. So there was this fog. And I'm not going to go into my story. There's a lot more of that in the WOW workshop, which I hope you're all going to be joining me on, and in the book, The Wealth Chef, that #1 bestseller from Hay House Publishers. But what I want you to know, I went from absolutely clueless to trying that recipe, working really hard, like so many people. And one day waking up and going, hang on, there's no life in this. Where's the vitality? Where is the joy, the delight, the actual savoring life, rather than waiting for one day? And I'd worked really hard and got nowhere. I'd lost a marriage because I was constantly just in stress. I was working really hard, and I realized, hang on, there's something else to this money stuff than working hard and trying not to spend it. And this is when I really went, hang on, what is wealth? What do I need to create real sustainable wealth that enables me to live life on my terms? And so I can finally let go of that constant nagging, that anxiety, that is there enough? Am I doing the right thing? What if something happens? Which so many people live with this cloud over them. It's almost just a way of being. It actually prevents us from being in life. And from making that key decision within 8 years, I was able to create my own financial freedom. And I've now been financially free I'm going into my 19th year, and I'll explain more what that means. But this means that for 19 years, I've had assets paying for my lifestyle. I've had the ultimate freedom to choose how I want to live my life. And I'm going to drop into sort of what does freedom actually mean, and wealth, because we use these words and there isn't often definition. No wonder we're confused about them. What do they really mean? So we're going to go into that. But part of the freedom I have is to live one of my purposes, and that is to help others to do the same, and that ripple impact, because I know that the more of us who are able to live in right relationship with money, where we can use it to serve us and not enslave us, that is where we get to really create the world like it should be, a world of enough, a world of based in heart-centered contribution rather than scarcity and fear and greed and everybody hating on everybody else. So that's who I am and how I got here.
Fantastic, thank you, Anne, and also just grateful to have you as a friend of mine, as somebody who's had a big influence on me, work-wise and money-wise. You know, my wife Camilla and I, we've gone through your training, and it's changed things for us. Like, we are so much more educated and able to make informed decisions, and we are working our way towards having what you have, the freedom where our assets pay for our lifestyle, and we're well on our way to that journey. And you know, when it comes to e-commerce, like, what I think the thing that draws a lot of people to e-commerce as a business opportunity is the idea of having a business which you can work on in a time that suits you from where you want. You know, and you've got a wonderful lodge in the bush overlooking the Olifants River. We live in the Lowveld, also in a beautiful wildlife estate. And that lifestyle comes from working on a computer and being able to move that computer wherever we go. And a lot of people are attracted to e-commerce because they want that, and they want the freedom. And sometimes a business ends up becoming more than a 9-to-5 job. It's a 24/7 job when you start your own business. And we want to work our way to creating a business that gives us annuity income, passive income. That's really the goal. But there's more ways to be able to build different forms of income, not just having your own business. That is a great one. And, you know, and you talk a lot about those low input businesses in your training. And I suppose today you're going to guide us through your 5 main pillars of financial freedom and what that looks like, what that's all about, and how people can take those steps forward, like my wife and I have done, to get ourselves closer to that goal of being financially free. So, Anne, tell us more about the 5 pillars of financial freedom.
So let's dive in. You know, let's first get really clear on what are we talking about when we talk about freedom? What are we talking about when we talk about wealth? Because if we don't know what that is, we are so easy to end up on the wrong route. And firstly, I'm going to share, you know, how do you get free? How do you get to this place of freedom? You get there by being really clear on what a wealthy life is for you, not anybody else. This is really clear. Then you've got to know the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Very, very different. And it's such an important distinction that by the end of the session, you're going to go, oh my God, that shift alone is huge. You've got to know what assets are, and you've got to understand that assets in these investments are the only thing that can create freedom. If you keep chasing income, you will forever be in cycles of poverty, but we're not taught this world of assets. You've also got to know what your unique freedom price tag is. Yet your financial journey, your financial freedom is unique to you because it depends on what is the price tag of the lifestyle that is true to you, and therefore what is the value of the assets you need. And you need to have that clarity because then you can put a plan in place. But like in your e-commerce or any other business, if you don't know what the frig you're creating, you're never going to land that damn plane and be able to put the plan in place. And then once you got clear on those elements, this gives you your vision, this gives you the what, then you put in place these 5 pillars. It's like this framework for freedom that ensures, guarantees, and here I'm going to be really strong. There's a link underneath here. I've got a free workshop, which we're going to be doing. It is a massive amount of content, way more we can cover here when I go deeper into this framework. And I am going to say, I guarantee you that if you follow the wealthy way, if you put this in your life and you commit to it and do it, you will be free. You will experience a freedom and a way of being in a life that less than 4% of the world's population ever gets to have. But you first got to choose freedom, and this is the paradox, Warwick. We have to choose it. And choosing it means each day waking up and go, I choose me, I choose freedom, not what Instagram tells me, not what the advertising, not what my parents and stuff. We have to first choose ourselves, and then we have to choose freedom, because so it's a very conscious thing that we have to do. And this is, at the nub of it. And I want to start with this base. And so then you know what it is that you're choosing, and you have to know why. Your why is, and the reason you're doing it is so important. Because when we can connect with our own what and why, and we can align to choosing it, this is what helps us stay the course. Because, at the end of the day, we all know, oh, spend less than you earn, stay out of debt, and we'll go into some of those things. Yes, you do have to do that stuff. But it's this core of owning yourself, your life, is going to keep you on that journey. And this is so key. And then you put together these frameworks and the actions, and with this unwavering commitment to living life. Because when we rarely get, what you're choosing is to live life. And I'm going to say right up front, wealth is a participation sport. You have to do shit. You have to do work. You're going to have to get active in it. I love the world of sort of manifesting and some of the woo-woo stuff and the belief mindset, but you cannot just sit with a friggin' vision board and hope that your yacht's going to sail in. No, you have to get involved. And this is it. What is so devastating for me with so many people, because we don't talk about money, we don't have keen money conversations, we don't know what it is that we're meant to be doing. It's easier to be hooked by the, oh, well, I'll just visualize it and then somehow come back in. And if your yacht doesn't sail in, well, then I'm not believing enough. No bullshit. There's stuff that we actually have to do. And this is this beautiful practicality of bringing both in together. Know what we want and be prepared to do what we want. So if you're listening here in those comments, just go, hell yes. Are you committed to actually do shit and participate in your wealthy life?
Well, I can tell you, Elsabie's one step ahead of you, because she's gone ahead and commented saying, you have to do shit, love it. So she's already loving that. And welcome to everybody who is watching live. We are talking live here. So please do put your questions and your comments in the live chat, and I'll shoot them up to Anne. And hopefully, if we have time towards the end of the session, we can do some Q&A. So if you're live, put that in. And even if you're watching the replay, stick the questions in anyway, because we're here.
So I don't know where you are in your wealthy way right now. Maybe you're deep in debt. Maybe the concept of freedom just feels so beyond you. Maybe you're struggling just to get by, and there's always more month than money. Maybe you've got a little bit of money saved, you've managed to do that in place, but you're terrified of losing it, of getting it wrong. And who do you trust? What do you do? Because you know that just saving isn't enough. Maybe you've outsourced your financial freedom. There was a financial advisor that said, trust me, but you have no idea. Is it enough? What is invested in? Is your money working for you or for them? I tell you, it's working for them, not for you. And, but don't worry, we can claim back your agency. And maybe you've made some poor financial decisions in the past. The reality is it's impossible to be an adult human without having effed up in our money world. Because again, we're not taught about it. There are these things that are constantly pulling at us, what I call our more monsters and our not enough monsters: fear, greed, scarcity. And so coming back to who we are, and with compassion and a little bit of humor and lots of curiosity, we can claim back our agency in this. So my absolute promise to you with our session today and the WOW workshop, which you've agreed to participate in, you said wealth is a participation sport. So you better damn click that link and come and join me. It's free. There's no excuse, but you're going to have to do work. You're going to absolutely know how to do this for yourself. But why are you really here? Why are we here? What is this really about? It's not actually money we're after when you think about it. It's what money enables. But money weaves through every aspect of our life. Money enables choice. It weaves through our ability to have safety, security, put food on our table, to have a roof over our head, to have access to opportunity, to self-expression. So maybe for you, freedom means being free of that anxiety and never having to worry about money again. Just think about that. Imagine never having a money worry again. Maybe it's having a beautiful home, an environment that you get to be in, and all the things that your heart desires, environment that, and you can also have that guilt-free or worry-free, not going, oh, you know, is this decision going to take me or my family to financial ruin? Maybe it's about being able to look after those you love. Maybe to buy your parents a home. Look, you know, if medical or whatever situations come up, you have the means to be able to contribute and support. Maybe it means giving yourself and your kids great education. Maybe it's about contribution, being able to give to things that serve and light up and that you believe make the world a better place. Maybe it's just about adventure, travel, and exploration. This incredible world we get to live in. Like, oh my, you know, Warwick said, we both live in the bush. We love it. I've got this home deep in the Kruger Park. I wait and the wonder of life, but being able to travel and be available for it. Maybe it's just to be able to use your precious time however you want. Now, so this is what money is for. Money enables these things, but there are two primary freedoms that we have to get really clear on. And the first is freedom from. We have to be able to be free from fear, free from anxiety, free from hunger, free from persecution, free to just be able to have a voice and express. And these are fundamental freedoms. And so often when we talk about money and wealth, and you'll see in the online marketing world, you know, the yacht or the fancy car or the shit, let's cut the crap. Let's come first and foremost. Money is to be able to us to just be present in life, to not have that worry and that stress. And if you do not first create that foundation of safety, you cannot even start to hope getting to actualization, self-expression, creativity, to be present in your relationships, in your work, your love. This is what it's really about. And so we put our money frameworks in place to first get us free from that. That, you know, if you're in a relationship that doesn't serve, but you're staying in there because of economic prison, no. If you are not able to have access to your basic needs, that is the first primary reason we are here. We have to get free from these things. And only then can we start exploring being free to do what we want, live how we want, when we want, explore who we are. And this is so key, this hierarchy that we have to get clear on. Because if you want to just start manifesting the friggin' yacht and you don't yet have a means to be safe, we're out of relationship. There's a layers that build up. And this is what the difference between a little bit of a sugar hit rich moment versus this deep layer of wealth and freedom is really about. You know, if you are not financially empowered, you will be overpowered. I'm going to say that again. If you are not financially empowered, you will be overpowered. Your ability to stand for you, to have your own back, to stand for justice, to stand for life is not there. That is why we're here. And once you've got that freedom from and you're exploring your freedom too, it really comes down to freedom of choice. And in that, there are 4 core freedoms. And the first is time freedom. You know, money buys you back your time. This is the most important thing. You know, it was recently my birthday. And I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. Yes, that's what you do in the bush, because what does a girl who lives in the bush want to do on her birthday is go into the bush. So we were going for a game drive and we were going into the Kruger Park. And I woke up and there were balloons all around my bed. But I could get to choose on a Friday what I wanted to do with that day. Drove off and spent my day reflecting on the year, my last trip around the sun, of all the wonder and the joy. And it was almost overwhelming to take in the amount of life I'm able to live and experience because I have time freedom. I get to choose how I spend my time. I don't have to pitch up for a day's work. Yes, I've got a crazy boss, this one here, but hey, you know, that's at least on my terms. But it's no longer trading time for money. When I go off and spend a whole day in the Kruger Park looking at animals, come back, playing, doing extraordinary things, my money is still working for me. And this is an extraordinary freedom that you work by choice. I choose to do this because it lights me up, because it's part of my purpose. And when we really get that this time we have in life is so limited, it is so precious, that you do not have time to wait. We don't get this back, because that time can also be available to visit that sick friend, to be available for your kids. What is it that your time would give you if you were able to claim it back and have it fully on your terms? Just think about that. When your assets are earning for you and paying for your lifestyle, this is the freedom it gives you. And as you're contemplating that, also just remember, what is not having time on your terms costing you? What are you not able to do? What have you not been able to say yes to? So the second freedom of choice is freedom of location. Warwick talks about the joy of having these digital businesses, be it e-commerce side. You can literally work and live from wherever. I get to oversee my multi-million-dollar investment portfolios from wherever I am. Yes, I do love sailing. So it can be a yacht in the middle of the ocean, or when I'm diving, or I'm skiing on the top of a mountain, or deep in the bush and I'm gazing out and there's a giraffe looking at me. And this is the power of location. And that, again, you're not trapped because you're having to exchange your time for money for a specific job. And this freedom of location is so important, because when we also get that our wealthy life is an ecosystem, the environment we're in matters. If you're in an environment that is negative, destructive, where you don't feel safe, that has a huge impact on your wealthy life experience. Your location, your environment matters deeply. When you have your money stuff sorted, you get to choose that. The third freedom is freedom of association. You get to choose who you're going to hang out with. Yes, I get to hang out with Warwick and some of the other amazing digital warriors in South Africa in mastermind groups. I choose to put myself in rooms, in places where there are people that are choosing to live their greatest version of their life, to be able to be around people who want more from life, who are prepared to explore and express, is the most liberating, igniting thing. The devastating thing is most people spend their time with negative co-workers, grumpy partners or bosses, and people bitching and moaning about all the shit in their life. No wonder the spiral is downwards. Who we hang out with matters significantly and deeply. Over and over and over, research shows that our need to belong, we are herd animals, is one of our greatest drivers. And we will betray and sabotage ourselves and our freedoms in order to belong. So choose which groups you want to belong to, because you will either drop down or rise up to fit in. So, so important. And this is, who are the mentors you want? Who are the coaches you choose to be with? This is so, so important. And yes, there might be some people in the life you have to go, you can love them, but just don't spend your time with them. And certainly don't speak about your dreams and your wealth and your business with them. This is so important. But that freedom of association is also spending more time with your loved ones, your fur kids. What is it? And who would you spend that time with? Because this is so important. You're going to see why this is so key. So we've got our time, we've got our location, we've got our association. And then the fourth freedom for me is the ultimate freedom. This is the freedom of our purpose. This is the freedom to actually know that we are living this life in our fullest way. And by us living our greatest joy, we cannot not make a positive difference in this world. And I am so grateful that those, 25 odd years ago, I made that commitment. Like, hell no, I'm not stupid. I'm not silly. There's a way to live an amazing life and feel financially supported, have this thing in together. And I'm committed to following and finding that way. And that I did, because now I get to really, with all of these freedoms, live what I believe is my greatest purpose, is how to make the maximum positive impact I can on others by liberating them with the frameworks of freedom so they can go and live their greatest life. And this is the ripple impact that goes out. These are these waves of expansion, of contribution, not of contraction. So I get to do what I love, from where I love, with people I love. And I also get to use my financial resources for things that are really important to me. One of my biggest things that drives me is conservation and wildlife and the environment, and being able to contribute significant amount of resources there brings me deep, deep joy. So what would that be for you? Each of us, it's different. For you, it might be baking the best freaking cupcakes in the world, and that brings you joy. We've also got to be careful that there doesn't have to be this heaviness around our purpose. Our purpose is just when we can wake up each day and go, I feel the vitality of life through me, and it's conscious. I'm not living some default life. I'm not living a drifted life. I'm living my life. And that's when we're on purpose. Warwick, you are living on purpose. I mean, how does that feel for you? I mean, you got an essence of all four of those freedoms.
Yeah, it really does feel so good. And you and I have discussed this at length, where like I kind of fell into e-commerce through I never had this journey. I never thought I was going to be this e-commerce guru who helped and coached so many thousands of South Africans for them to be able to start their own businesses. And yet that was a journey that I ended up taking. And I feel like I was guided to this point where I can be in a position to share my knowledge, my experience, and what works, what doesn't work with all the tens of thousands of people inside of our community, and to recognize the impact that it has on those individuals who are following, but also the impact that ripples out to their families, to the families of the person that they employ and the second person that they employ. I saw that in my e-commerce businesses. Like the first person I employed, they were supporting somebody, and it's a big responsibility. And I take that fully, and I appreciate that fully in being in the role now where I can absolutely live my purpose and feel like I'm following my dharma, which is all about your purpose. And just know that, again, as you're saying, I've got the financial support and structure in place to allow me to do this, because I know that this is what I'm here to do. At this phase of my life, I've got to be here talking about e-commerce and sharing ways that people can create these wealth generating assets as an e-commerce business and other ways, which is why we're here today, because this managing your money and building a wealthy lifestyle is part of the whole journey. Your business is one part of it, and it's an important part of it, the way you get your income. But there are other ways. And that's why I'm so glad to introduce you, Anne, and also just to kind of recommend people join the World of Wealth workshop. Of course, the link is below this video, so click. I see lots of people have joined up already. And Anne's going to be covering so much more of what she's talking about here in so much more depth. And I'm personally going to be attending that workshop, and I hope that you guys are too. But Anne, yeah, super happy for you to kind of share your experience and your knowledge with all of us here.
So while we talk about this, as Warwick lives an amazing, juicy life. He gets to go on hikes and cycle. He has his gorgeous kid, and he lives in an environment that serves. He's following his purpose. I do too. And as we share this for you, it's not that is what your wealthy life is. I hope as I share those four freedoms, what started percolating, that there were some ideas and desires who were going, yeah, what would I do with that time freedom, that location? Who would I hang out with? What would that be? This is so important because they're the seeds of your truth. There's a lot of hype, and people say, be authentic, be authentic. What the frig does that mean? It's like knowing who you are. But most of us, that's one of the deeper journeys we have to take. Who am I, and what is my wealthy life? Because this is your life to be lived. And this is why you must get your money stuff sorted to liberate that and bring that out. I want these freedoms for you and the life that comes with them. But there's a huge problem. As I've already mentioned, less than 4% of the population in the world ever gets to experience these freedoms fully. Most people never even get to experience the freedom from, let alone the freedom to. In South Africa, at retirement age, only 6% of the population has got enough invested for them to be able to stop working and then live off 60% for their pre-retirement income. 6% of the population. 50% of households have less than 10,000 Rand saved and invested. Most people are living on devastating financial knife edges, thinking next year it will be better. Oh, I've got time to sort that out. Time is ticking. There isn't time. And this is one of the most devastating things you'll get to see in the World of Workshop, why time is so critical. We don't have time to wait. Your investments, your money needs the time to build up so it can serve you. But because so many people get distracted by life, 2 out of 3 people will have to rely on the charity of their kids, their family, a friend, a stranger, just to survive. I mean, Warwick, how terrifying is that? We look around, 2 out of 3 people. And for women, it's actually more like 3 out of 4. There's a lot of hype in the world. People want to live longer. Woohoo, want to live to 100. Really? Most people don't have enough money to live to 65. And the greatest fear of most people is that their money will run out before they do. But it's the reality for most. And when we look at the devastation in the world, is that most people die of a poverty of health and a poverty of wealth, hoping that their life will just run out. And this is devastating. And we have to talk about this shit. And I'm talking about it because unless we can bring this forward, it's so easy for us to think, nah, next week, next month, next year, and you don't get it. I've got the kids, I've got the dog, I've got this, life's busy, I'm building my e-commerce business. No, this is the life. People are prepared to do the frameworks and put them in place now, get to live that extraordinary life.
And I think that what you've just said there is so important, because what I'm hearing as you're going through this is like, you can't wait, because the freedom from and freedom to, these things are firing me up to know that even where I'm now, we need to take more action because the clock is ticking. Like the years are going by, like not too far away from 40 here. And a lot of, no matter where you are, I think a lot of people have this misconception that if I just earn more, then things will be okay. What do you say to people like that? Like, should they wait to earn more before they start investing and saving and thinking about
this? Well, this is so important
now?
and was one of the most devastating lies we're taught. And I'll get to that more in the fifth pillar, and we're going to still get there. We've got a lot to still cover here. But this is the most devastating thing that keeps people poor. If I can just earn more, I'll be okay. If I can just get that additional contract, if I can just grow the business a bit more, if I can just do this. But they don't see that it's the whole ecosystem of wealth that isn't in place. If you're not creating assets as part of your money process, and if you're not also managing the outflow, the backflow, no additional amount of money will save you. This is why most lottery winners are in a worse financial position than they were within 2 years after winning it. Most people who get a large inheritance will lose it and be in a worse financial position within 3 years. Most people who get a divorce settlement don't know what to do with it, and again are in a worse position because it's not what we earn, it's what we do with it. And waiting to earn more, waiting for the kids to have left home, waiting for expenses to be different is the path to poverty. And so this is so important. I believe we're all given very specific dreams when we came into this life. And right now, as you listen to this, I want you to think of maybe just a dream that you had, maybe something that you don't even want to dare admit that you have, maybe something that feels outrageous and silly, and you shouldn't have that. When it was like, when we become adults, like, oh, grow up, adulting. Well, no. Let's think about that dream. Now, I already mentioned there are just 3 resources we're given: our time, our money, and our energy, to be the creators of life. These are the 3 inputs we have to bring these dreams to life. And how we use our time, our money, and our energy either creates heaven or hell in this lifetime. Sadly, most people never taught how to use those, what to do with their money, their time, and their energy. So they just squandered. If I just had more, if I just had more. No, it's what you do and how you create it. And so for most people, go to their death in this deep regret of never having actually lived their life. And I think at death, for most people, their dreams come to them and say, we were given to you because you were meant to bring us to life. But here we have to die inside of you because you didn't do what needed to be done. You didn't choose to live. And so we have to die. But the great news is for everybody here, and the very fact that you're prepared to play full out, that you're prepared to do shit, that you're prepared to get clear on what you want, and you're going to choose a different destiny and go, hell yeah, my dreams are not going to die inside of me, tells me you're not going to be one of those devastating statistics. And so why do most people fail? It's not because they don't work hard, they're not, prepared to put it in, not because they're stupid or lazy or frivolous. It's exactly what you've said. We are not taught about what actually creates real wealth. We're taught how to work hard for money. If I can just earn more, if I can just earn more, if I can just earn more. And instead, they never learn the elements, these frameworks, these inputs of what creates real wealth. Now, what's super important to know is nobody earns their way to financial freedom. Yep. You've seen football players as well. I've mentioned all those things who end up broke because it's not what you make, it's what you do with it. But also nobody saves their way to freedom either. While saving is a very important skill, we have to convert the money that comes into our life into things that can keep growing in capital value and earn income for us. And this is how we create our freedom engines. We each have to have this freedom generator, basically. All of us who live in load shedding areas, we have all of our different PVRs and our batteries and our generators and our solar systems. These are the assets that are going to ignite and fuel your life. So write this down. Assets create freedom. You are financially free when you have enough assets that can pay for your chosen lifestyle. Really important, your chosen lifestyle, and enough assets that can pay for it without you having to work actively. That's that passive income. I don't particularly like that word, but low input income, where you've got systems and process and other things doing the value exchange and you get the benefit. But there are two things that you need to live a wealthy life. The one is you need a wealthy money flow. This is how money flows through your life. So you must have cash flow in your life. Money needs to come in. And then how it flows out of your life is really key. So how to be a wealthy spender? We need to spend our money with discernment. A lot of people think wealthy is just having a huge amount of money that you don't give a shit what you spend your money on. No, that is not wealthy. That is just freaking greedy. And in fact, that's just like binging eating. That's not a wealthy life. When we actually have discernment and we are prepared to spend time looking at what we spend our money on, this is the wealthiest thing we can do. Our life is created by how we spend that time, how we spend that money, and how we spend that energy. But most people don't look at that. And so we need that healthy money flow supported and fueled by asset generated income. So it's these two things together. And so when we build this up, we get to see, there's two important parameters. One, are we creating a profit in our life? So this is your money flow. Think of your life like a business. Where is my money coming in from, and what's the quality of it? How much has to come from me exchanging my time versus how much is it coming from low input businesses, e-commerce, assets that earn? And then what am I doing with it? And am I making sure that there's more comes in than goes out? And am I getting the most from what goes out of it? So am I creating a profit and a wealthy life experience from how that wealth flows through, my money flows through my life? And then in your assets, is my net worth growing? My net worth is my value of my assets minus my liabilities, those debts. And you need an expanding net worth until you hit your financial freedom number. And then it's about maintaining it. Because your financial freedom number is when you've got enough assets that you can feed off those assets, a bit like a magic porridge pot. There's a story, I think it comes from Europe, where there's this porridge pot, this family finds it and they go down and they eat their porridge every morning. The next day they wake up, the pot's empty and the pot's full again. And then they eat it. And then the next day there's even more, it's flowing over so it can feed the neighbors. And they all eat and they finish it. Then it fills up again. And before this pot is feeding the whole village. This is what your assets do. And so you want to build your assets up so you can feed off them in this perpetual way. It's not like a pantry that you now feed off savings and then hope you run out before the pantry does. This is the self-replenishing asset pot. That is why I've been able to be financially free for 18 years and will continue for another 800 if so be it, because there's enough in that pot to keep bubbling away that I can feed off it and contribute and so on. And this is what's really important. So healthy money flow and an expanding net worth. But we've got to get really clear on what is the difference between being wealthy versus rich. Such a misunderstood concept. So maybe you can type in what you think it is. Because we tend to think wealthy is what we see, because that's the information we have in front of us. As humans, we validate our beliefs and our experiences by visual evidence, what we can see and touch. So we can't see somebody's investment account or their debt statements. We can't see their 3 a.m. anxiety waking up, maybe we can with the bags under their eyes. We can't see that stress and that worry around what these things are actually costing them. So we can't see the inner world of peace or joy or tranquility or alignment with life, but we also can't see, as I say, the value of the assets, the investment accounts, or the debt statements. And so as humans, we rely on these outward appearances, these gauges of appearances that we've been told is success, especially financial success. There's no shortage of magazines, prestige and abundance or whatever hell they call them. There's always a watch and a yacht and an airplane and God knows, gold jewelry. which is fine. There's nothing wrong with bling. Shit, I love a bit of bling. But the problem is, if we believe the car we drive, the home we live in, the clothes we wear, the holidays we go on, what our friggin' Instagram feed looks like, if we believe that's what a wealthy life is, we are going to be forever chasing this. We're going to be going in circles of poverty. Have those things. These are the riches of life. These are the momentary bites that we get to taste some delights in. But it is not wealth. True wealth cannot be captured by your phone. It is made up of your financial assets that haven't yet been converted into the rich stuff. So my assets, my equities, these are my stocks and shares, my real estate portfolio, my low input businesses, my fixed income notes that all work away for me. They are working for me. I haven't, killed them to convert them and to feed on them. And most people, when you say, what would you do if you won the lottery? People are like, well, the first thing they go to is how they would spend it, what stuff they would exchange that money for. And we have to break this mindset and go, no. How would I convert it into assets that will let me have that stuff forever? Most people want to slay their poor money straight away, send it straight to the abattoir and feed on it, instead of going plant those seeds. Wealth is having choice. Wealth is having peace of mind. Wealth is having these assets paying for your lifestyle. Wealth is having a cash safety net so that no matter what life comes along, you're okay. You're not going to have to, sell some of the assets no matter what the market's going on. Wealth is being free of consumer debt. Wealth is having peace of mind knowing that you and those you love are okay, no matter what comes along in the world. Wealth is also having a plan that that even though you might not be there yet with the assets, you know what you're meant to be doing. Finally, you know where you're headed, what's in place. This is wealthy. It's super easy to be rich for a moment. Grab a credit card, go and rent a Ferrari for an hour, drive up and down the street, take a shitload of photos, post them on Instagram. Great, you're rich for a moment, but it says nothing about your financial resilience. The world is filled with people who look rich for moments by moments, but they're living on a razor's edge of insolvency. Their mortgage to the hilt, their car loans, all of these elements, because they've bought into this devastation that their worthiness is linked to their consumption and what they can show to the external world. So you've got to get really clear on the difference between wealthy and rich and ensure that the actions you're taking, the path that you're following, is the path that gives you abundant wealth. And then the opportunity for lots of delightful, rich moments. But the rich moments that matter to you, not that matter to a whole bunch of people that actually don't give a shit about you. This is the path to real wealth. So we're going to go into what the 5 pillars are that you need underneath that. But I don't know if there's any feedback there, or Warwick, or anything you want to add there.
Well, I feel like you're just talking to me because we're talking here, which is being live streamed. But I'm just receiving all of this, and it's reminding me of all the things that we still need to do better. But we are watching our spending, and we are trying to be wealthy spenders, except over December, where we do watch our numbers. And December, it was nauseous when those numbers came in, between Christmas and traveling, and our kid having his first birthday. He had 2 first birthdays and was at one of them. Thank you. So good to have you there. And you're just reminding me of all the things we need to be on top of if we want that dream outcome that we are working towards. And I'm seeing a lot of love and feedback in the live stream comments. Thanks for everybody. People saying like hearing and mirroring what you're saying. Like procrastination is a big problem. A lot of feedback just saying that they're getting clarity from this session. That is super informative. Thank you, Anne. And a lot of people signing up for the training. Of course, that link is below, where Anne's going to go much deeper into all of this and much more. And, also it's just some echoing of you saying how social media is really messing up our desire for money and almost forming a resentment for those who have it, because it feels like it's so far away. But it's only so far away because we don't know yet how we can achieve it. Like we don't have that roadmap yet. And if you don't know, then how could you possibly get there? And that's why I'm so glad that we're talking about this here openly for everybody to listen in on.
Absolutely. And when we really get, this is where we come back to freedom is a choice. This is the paradox. Freedom will never force itself on us. We have to choose it every day. And sometimes that choice will be hard. Sometimes it'll be easy. But when we're really clear on what wealthy is, what we want, This gives us the framework to make these choices easier when we know every day we're waking up. And I actually have on my mirror, I choose me, I choose freedom. So when choices come and distractions come, I go, hang on, is this choice going to take me closer to living my truly authentic, wealthy life, or is it a distraction? And this helps having this clarity. But it's also really important. This is not about holding off to wait till you live your life sometime down the future, because there's no freedom in waiting to live your life. Your life is right now. And this is the paradox. I was doing a session with our Wealth Built and our Financial Freedom University students inside. And I said, one of the paradoxes is we need to live like today is our last day. Every day. What would you do? Would you be awake? Would you notice? Would you stop bitching and whinging and see the joy and love and suck the juice out of it? But we have to manage our money as though we're going to live forever. And so now we have this beautiful choice. And this is where it then becomes more the energy of us. So freedom is a choice. The moment I chose freedom, my life changed. The moment I decided to be wealthy rather than rich, my life changed. The moment I committed to doing the work and doing what it takes, my life changed. But I committed to the end, that to live my life amazingly and free and to follow my heart, to use creativity and possibility to say, how can I afford it? Not, I can't. What can I do within these parameters? And this is the power when we're actually choosing ourselves. I used to be a civil engineer. Well, I guess I still am. I spent 20 odd years building railways around the world and large complex projects. And one of my gifts is being able to break what can seem like complex concepts down to very doable chunks. And this is what I've done in Financial Freedom University and with the work and what we'll cover in the WOW workshop, where there are these 7 steps of the wealthy way, this pathway to take, which really just gives us clarity once we know where we go. And everything is about putting a framework in place. Wealth is an ecosystem. It's not a destination. It's a way of being. And the problem is a lot of people treat their wealth, their money stuff as though it's a problem to be solved. Well, let me do a, 1 week, Instagram course of how to get my likes up. No, this is how do you learn to live wealthy in a way of being. Wealth and health are so similar in that way. These are your habits, your practices, your way of being. And when we can put frameworks in place, these are processes, these are systems, it just enables us to live that free life. So I call them frameworks for freedom. And there are 5 pillars. It's these 5 components that when we put them in place, it's sort of almost, they protect us and they guarantee our wealthy life. So remember, 2 most important things. You need to be making a profit. You need a healthy money flow that comes through. And squeezing the juice, making sure that all the money you spend is aligned to what you really want. And then you need to be growing your assets and reducing your liabilities to increase your net worth. And so when you create your freedom from shifting that focus from working harder, if I can just earn more, instead to saying, how can I build assets? What am I doing? So it's almost taking a step back. And this is one of the key things is you say, well, as money flows into your life, your business, how are you directing it? What are you doing with it? So that you're creating assets and you really got discernment about where you spend that money. So get your pen out. We're going to be going into the 5 pillars. Yes, there is still time. We're going to whiz through them. And remember, in the WOW workshop, we go deeper. So the first is leadership. The first pillar is leadership of your life. You are the CEO, the CFO, the Chief Freedom Officer of your life. It's your life. You have to live it. You have to guide it. Not your financial advisor, not your partner, nobody else, you. And so you have to lead it and give your money direction. You first got to tell your money what it wants. Money is the most amazing team member that you have, but most people ignore it. They don't give money a job description. They don't say what it is you're creating. So imagine you've got to create that vision. What is your life about? What aren't you going to do? And then you need a system to direct the money to that. So what do you really want? We already started that process by seeding. What would you do with those 4 freedoms? What would you contribute to? What would you have? How would you be living your life? Where? What would you be doing? And then really own that and ruthlessly cut out everything else that isn't that. This is where we have that wonderful, fierce discernment. When we know our own back, we can say, no, not for me. Great. We don't have to have judgment about it. There's no moral standing here. It's not me, Then ask yourself every day, if I was free, what would I do today? Notice what comes up. Start learning how to listen to your heart, your soul. Our education, our upbringing teaches us how to betray ourselves, how to please and appease and perform in order to be worthy, how to fit in, to be enough, to be good enough. Am I a good girl? Am I a good boy? Am I doing the right things to belong? And so we have to learn how to re-listen to the truth, our truth, and align to that. And once you know what that is, you now use a money management system. And so the one that I teach is called Wealth Pie, is how do you allocate the money that comes into your life so that it meets your short-term, your medium-term, and your long-term goals and lets you live an amazing life now. And this is super important. You have to manage your money. So you must have a vision, tell money what you want, and then give it KPIs, give it directions. You've got to check in with it. You must have a monthly money date at minimum to go, hi, money, how are we doing? Let me give you redirection, plan your spending. How are we doing? What are we going? Yes, treat money as an amazing employee. Imagine if you ran your business and you employ these amazing staff, you pay for them, but then you just ignore them and then you bitch that they don't do what you want. Well, that's what most people do with money. And, in the first session of the WOW workshop, we're going to go deep in exactly how much you need. So with that, knowing what you want, leadership is knowing the life you want, but also the price tag of that. So you'll work out exactly what that is, and then how to manage your money and allocate it. So that is pillar one. You have to give your money and your life leadership. And that means action, actually knowing what you want, getting specifics about the goal, and managing that money day to day. Now, I really want to drop in that there is no moral judgment around what a wealthy life is for each of us. We have to determine that, and we have to know that. For some of you, it might be a simple cottage in the country where you're doing your writing or your crafts or your art. Maybe like me, it's having a home in the bush and being able to spend time there. Maybe for you, it's living your current life, but not having to work for it. So imagine if you could just live the life you have, but you know that all the money you need will come in. Maybe it's a completely different life, one of travel, adventure, no fixed abode. Perhaps it's having multiple homes and private islands and Learjets and a chef or two. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is it's true for you, because each of those lives will have a different price tag. And so try them on, see what they look like. See, well, what is the amount of assets that I need to pay for that lifestyle? And you can just start sitting and this is where it's a choice. Each will then, if you want those private jets and multiple homes, you're going to need a much bigger pile of assets. That's got different, consequences. There's a beautiful phrase that I like. There's, there are no obligations. There are just consequences. We get to choose. We're not obliged to do anything. You're not even obliged to get up in the morning. But if you don't, there's consequences. What we do with our wealth. So we must just choose what are the consequences that we want to live with. And this is so key. And as you contemplate your wealthy life, really, please know this. You are already worthy beyond measure. There is nothing you need to do to be worthy, to belong, to be worthy of this thing called life. We have each been given this incredible gift of life, absolutely free. There's nothing we needed to do to earn this gift of life. So just the fact that you have breath right now, that you're alive, means you're already enough. Can you just own that? I'm already enough. When we start feeling the pull of, what will other people think? Maybe I should have that, the car I drive, those external things in order to be enough. Remember, I'm already enough. So what do I want to do? Feel the truth of that. There is nothing you need to do, be, have, create, experience, contribute, give in order to be worthy of life and love. It's a hard thing for us to let land because it's not the story we've been fed. And this is the part of the reprogramming we have to come back to, because it's only when we can come back and go, I'm already enough. I'm already worthy. Shit, I've been given this life. Now we go, well, what do I want to do as an expression of this life? Because that comes from me. Like, what is mine to do? What is my joy to experience, to have and be? Not, shit, what should I do and have the right thing to be worthy, to be okay, to belong, to not piss anybody off, whatever that is. And this is where we get to know what is our truth. When we can what we choose to do and have and create and all the money we have as an expression of life, rather than trying to seek worthiness, that helps us know, are we on the right path for us? And this is so key. Because now you know what you want, the value of the assets you need, and you're going to be managing that money. Pillar number 2 is having in place a proven process to grow your assets. Now, there are actually 10 asset classes, and in lesson 2, I go deep into all of those asset classes, how to invest in them. But the core 4 are equities. This is owning shares in other businesses, and it is such a cool asset class. It's should form 70% of your net worth, is investing in low-cost index trackers that just form this bulk, where basically you own shares in amazing companies around the world from your phone. Talk about location independent and low-cost, easy access. So they'll teach you exactly how to do that. Second asset class is real estate, a really powerful asset class. I call it wealth Play-Doh. There are so many different strategies, and it's a really important asset class you can use leverage with. So this is where you use expansion debt. And in lesson 3, we go deep into expansion debt, into wow, and understanding leverage. Leverage is how you get your freedom faster. The third asset class are low input businesses. Hell yes, e-commerce. This is where we use systems and processes and other people's time to do the leverage, to do the distribution. And it's a huge asset class. You know, just us being here, using YouTube and Zoom to reach multiple people. Again, it's about leveraging. How do you use systems to reach more, to deliver more value? Think about royalties, whether it's from music, from books. Think about digital courses. You know, Warwick is building up a huge portfolio of low input businesses. He's got his Airbnb business. He's got his own e-commerce businesses. He's got his teaching and his digital product businesses. These are multiple streams, and we see, we need an army of assets from different asset classes that will bring this income in different ways to give us also the stability of life. And then the fourth asset class is ourselves. Yes. You are your greatest asset. We have to keep saying, how do we expand our ability to deliver more value? How do we make ourselves more marketable? How do we increase our value through understanding marketing ourselves, marketing what we do, our knowledge? This is why we sign up for courses. We get the skills. We know how to work our assets better. We keep having to expand ourselves, our mental capacity, because your wealth can only expand in direct proportion to your ability to earn it, create it, hold it, and grow it. And this is where we've got to say, if you're not growing you're limiting what you're able to receive, do, create. And this is so important. You are your most important asset, but also life is lived through you. So the inner game of wealth is so important. Where are your blocks, your mindset, your beliefs, the misaligned values? This inner journey is so important. So you've got to keep expanding your tactical strategy and skills, just your knowledge, and your ability to really give leadership to your life and know who you are. And so you're expanding all of these, and this becomes the second pillar. You have a machine, you have a mechanism, a framework for creating these assets that you automate, you put on autopilot, and it just happens. And then we move to pillar number 3, and this is being free of consumer debt. We have to break away from consumer debt. And I will go deeper in the World Wealth Workshop into unpacking the 3 different types of debt. So there's neutral debt and there's expansion debt, where you use that to accelerate your freedom. But consumer debt is where you basically spend your future to consume something now. You cannot be free with consumer debt. And please, I know it is a plague of our society. It is so hard. I got myself deep into a debt hole, believing there was a whole lot of stuff I needed to have in order to be worthy. It was just the way it was. We're in a society where debt has been absolutely normalized. I can't wait until people put on their status debt-free as a symbol of pride, not the friggin' photo of the Ferrari. You know, this is what we want. You know, most people, it's just devastating. So it's a no-go question. You know, it's not, you just cannot live a wealthy life and have consumer debt and have cycles of that. So pillar 3 is also putting into place a framework, a proven recipe that works. And this is what I've done. You know, for 25 years now, I've been living in the world of wealth. I know which debt blitzing strategies work and why they work that help us keep that momentum and stay free. So it's not just about getting debt free, but how do we stay debt free and create real wealth instead? Then we bring pillar number 4 in place. And this is, you've got to put your hands up, put them there. You got to protect your assets. But this is so important because life happens. So we need around this pillar, we need a pillar of safety. And so your protection pillar is about having a cash safety net. It's about understanding what insurances you do or don't need. And there's 4 types of insurances. And most people just get this wrong. They spend money on the wrong things. They get sold hideous products. So when we know what to do here is key. Or some people, when they come to this section, they say themselves, like, over 15% of their income just on knowing what are the right things here. Really important. And insurance and investment are not the same thing. Don't be sold that down that river. And then the third aspect of your protection is having in place wills, power of attorney structures that protect those that you love and yourself in the event of life's to be expected, unexpected events. And we're all going to die. So we've got to get really real about that and make sure that when we do, we die free. And that means free of anxiety and stress, and knowing that those that we love are looked after and the mechanisms are put in place. And then the final pillar, I see the time, we've had such fun sharing. The final pillar is mastering ourselves. I think this is the most important pillar, that around all of this is the continued pillar of self-expansion and knowing how to manage ourselves, our emotional, our EQ, our behavioral aspects. You know, a wealthy life is 20% tactics and 80% behavioral. And the devastation is most people would prefer to stay in numb. They prefer to keep living small life by default, just reacting and responding to the programming they've been given, drifting, reacting, playing out a script. You know, most people don't realize that they're actually living a script that's been handed to them. The life that they're told, that's the life that you should live to be a good girl or to be successful. You need to, if you first go and you study hard, then you get that, then you get married, then you have your 2.5 kids and the white picket fence and that car and then that, and then they suddenly wake up and go, fucking, whose life is this anyway? The worst part is most people don't want to wake up because of that devastation with that. But there are a few courageous people, and we get to celebrate them. We see them when we get to go, oh, how did they get so lucky to live those sort of lives? You know, Warwick, I'm sure that's happened to you. Real people say to me, Anne, you're so lucky. And I'm going, fuck, I am. I'm lucky that I keep choosing me. You know, luck also tends to knock on the door in an overall, roll up their sleeves. But I'm also not so arrogant to know that there's a huge amount of our life is the circumstances and what comes our way, but our ability to respond to our circumstances and turn them into things that work for us. This is about the inner game. This is about how are we able to see what is great in an opportunity? Are we able to recover? Are we able to claim back our agency? You know, we can have traumas. We can have all sorts of things that come back. So many people end up just reliving their past over and over, stuck. They don't have the emotional resources to learn how to get themselves out and how to move forward. And so this is why this pillar of self-mastery, I think, is the most important one, because you can have all these other tactics. And I know many people who have a lot of money, but live devastatingly poor lives of poverty of spirit. They are afraid of losing it. They don't know how to live it. They don't know how to be fully in life. And so money alone, without you giving it direction, will never create a wealthy life. It has to come from us. And this is what's so key. So a lot was covered there, and we go much deeper in the world of wealth. So I hope you've really got that sense of what is wealthy, what are the frameworks that it cascades down of what the bleep you actually want. Why are you doing this? What is it doing it for? And then you see, once you know that, you can put in place systems and processes that basically make these things guaranteed. And these are these pillars that ensure you get to live your amazing life now, not sometime in the future.
Absolutely. You know, and the first time that I heard you talk about this, I was sitting there in a situation where we had a lot of debt, and also didn't know how to get out of that, like the strategy to get out of it. And you talk about the wealthy life, and I'm like, I'm all about that. You know, let's get a bigger, like, new house, new cars, like all this stuff, go on fancy holidays. But in my mind, I was conditioned that in order to have that, I needed to earn more money. And through working with you and going through your workshops, like the World of Wealth workshop, I came to the better understanding that in order to get that, I need to educate myself on the better ways to do it, but also to get that and to have it, in a way that I'm getting it in a position of financial freedom rather than having worked to get more money to have it, in which case I'm still working to get more money to pay for it. And I think that's such a difference that you highlighted with the difference between wealthy and rich. My goal is wealthy. And I'm sure everybody who's watching this and commenting are also saying wealthy, yes. And I love Linda's comment saying that not only has she signed up, but she is committed to this process. And by being committed, yes, join up for the free training that's coming up by Anne. So much more deeper into what we're talking about here. And there's still so much more to learn, because now you've taught us, you've shone the light on what we need to do. And now we need the roadmap on how to do it.
Yeah.
So, Anne, tell us like the action steps and where people can go from here.
Absolutely. Click that link. And then on the 29th of January, the first training will be going. So what we've done this year, with the last few years, we do it once a year. I love this whole experience. It's 2-week experience. Instead of doing it live, we've pre-recorded the first 2 training sessions so that you can watch to fit in the busy lives. I get it. It's full. So it's ready for you. There's workbook to go through. And we go through what are the core elements of wealth, understanding what you're working with, understanding those assets, looking at the mechanisms of your money management, your flow, getting clear on, you're going to work out exactly what your unique financial freedom number is. And this is huge, because now we know what we're headed for. If you don't know what your destination is, any old path will do. And that's the problem. Most people's lives are just any old friggin' path. That's not your life. And so when we know this, that's all just in lesson 1. So you can go in, consume it, get your workbook, and then I'm going to be doing live Q&As at different times in the days, over different days, a whole bunch of them. So you can come with your questions and get answered, because this is so key. We need answers to our questions so we don't get stuck. But what about this? What about clarifying that? And so we're going to be having these live Q&A sessions. Then the second training will come out. I think that's on Thursday, the 1st of Feb. Again, more Q&As. Then we've got a live session on Saturday and on Sunday. And then the following weeks, a few live sessions. They are all also recorded, so you can be in there. We will also be opening registration to a Financial Freedom University. But please know this workshop itself is incredible value. And if the next step feels right for you, great. You will know whether it's your right step or not, because you will also have, by that stage, been able to align with what is wealthy for you, know what your path is. And this is so important for me that we actually have the final live training is how to make wealthy life decisions. Because we've got to recreate our agency with ourselves to know that we are safe in our own hands. And when it comes to money stuff, most of us grow up not feeling safe. That money is safe around the financial decisions we have. And this is why so many people just want to outsource their money. To the financial advisor, to their partner. There's this devastating sort of belief that we're fed, especially women, but men as well, from the chick flicks. We grow up with these fairy stories that there's this knight in shining armor. He's going to come in and finally kiss us on the forehead and think, there you go, darling. You don't have to worry about that money stuff. You can just go and live your life and I'll look after all of that shit. And there's a little part of me that still wants to believe that. But here's the thing, nobody's coming. Nobody is coming. Why? Because you are the one you were always looking for. You are here. You're enough. This is your life to live. This is not difficult. It's not complicated, but you have to own it. And that ownership takes responsibility. It also means you can't be a victim. A lot of people want to outsource their financial responsibilities in their life because then they can blame somebody else for not living the life that they want. Their parent, their partner, the financial advisor, whatever else, their boss. Fine, if you want to live that life, but that's not who you are, you wouldn't be here. There's those of us who choose to be in the arena of life, who say, okay, I'm going to put on my big girl and my big boy panties. I'm prepared to get in dirty, dusty, roll up those sleeves, because this is the life that's meant to be lived. And so this is what the WOW experience is all about. Come on in, see what the world of wealth is really about. And then you can choose. Again, freedom is a choice. So you can choose to stay in it or not, but at least make it with an informed decision that you know for once and for all what it actually creates. And then you've got a choice. There is no moral judgment. We each just, there's no obligation. There's just consequences of the choices we take. And freedom is a choice, and you've got to choose it. And I hope you're going to choose it by clicking that button. And every day until we get there, wake up every day and go, freedom is a choice. I'm choosing me. I'm going to choose wealth, and I'm going to choose to be aligned to my dreams. And that is how we get to live amazing lives.
I love it. And a lot of what you're saying, it kind of brings up a bit of anxiety or rather overwhelming, like all the things I don't know yet, or the things you have to do this. But when you understand the importance of doing this, like this is the goal. This is the goal behind all the other goals that we're working on. And the next step is quite simply just to join your free training, which you so graciously and generously make available once a year. And it's coming up soon. So why not click that link below, join up with Anne's free training. There is so much that you get to learn from this. And I've done it myself, and I'm so grateful for what I've learned from you, Anne. And I'm super grateful for you coming to share this with us here today. So thanks so much. And I will be in those workshops, and I hope that everybody watching this will also be there. And I can't wait to go through it with you.
I can't wait, and can't wait to meet so many of you in the WOW experience.
Fantastic. So just to wrap up, don't forget, click that link below. Join up. It is absolutely free. You get so much more of Anne. She teaches tens of thousands of people around the world, and now she's here to teach you, and it's free. Click that link, register, and I'll see you there together with Anne. Catch you guys on the inside. Fantastic.